All righty, so hold on a second, hit the OK button. All right, well, I'm going to kick this off. So we're going to call the order and the roll call. Ruth, would you be so kind as to do that?
Supervisor Galloway. Supervisor Pruitt. Supervisor O'Brien. Chair Smith.
I'm here.
Supervisor Goolsby. Mr. Higgins.
Present.
Supervisor Barlow.
Here.
Supervisor Woodward.
Here.
Supervisor Reed. Supervisor Reed, I see you.
Yes, I'm here.
Excellent. Supervisor Rutherford. Commissioner Duranzio.
Here.
Councilor Payne.
Here.
We do have a quorum. And I will read the notice of electronic meeting.
Thank you. That's what I just said, but thank you.
This meeting of the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission is being held pursuant to Code of Virginia subsection C of section 2.2-3708.3, which allows a public body to hold all virtual public meetings. The meeting is being held via electronic video and audio means through Zoom online meetings and is accessible to the public. The method for holding this meeting shall not change unless a new meeting notice is provided. Should the electronic transmission fail, you may reach out to the TJPDC at remerick@tjpdc.org. Notice has been provided to the public through notices at the TJPDC offices, to the media, and website postings and agenda. The meeting is held pursuant to the remote electronic participation in all virtual meeting policy as adopted by the Commission on July 25th, 2024. The meeting minutes will reflect that the meeting was held by electronic communication means and the type of electronic communications by which the meeting was held. A recording of the meeting will be posted at tjpdc.org within 10 days of the meeting.
I'm glad you read that. Looks like Mike joined us. Good to see you, Mike. So thank you, Ruth, for doing that. Do we have any public attending today? I didn't see any. No. Okay. So not seeing any public joining us, we're going to skip over matters from the public and go right into presentations. And it looks like, Taylor, you're up next.
I am. Awesome. Thanks, Ruth. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to share information with you this evening about the PDC's consideration of a change in our smart scale area type specific to the rural areas within our planning district. The TJPDC Rural Transportation Advisory Committee did receive a presentation and a discussion on this topic, and at their June 17th meeting, they provided a recommendation to the Commission in support of taking this action. Following that, a staff memo was circulated with the VDOT analysis attached that accompanies this consideration was sent to the CAOs and RTAC staff directly on July 15th, just to make sure we're broadly communicating the potential for this change, since it would impact all of our rural jurisdictions. It wouldn't just be for the PDC, it would be for all of our rural jurisdictions. Next slide. So we'll start off with a brief overview of the Smart Scale program, its scoring factors and weighting. Then we'll discuss the VDOT supported analysis that illustrates how scenarios would have differed if projects were scored under a different area type. Next slide. So Smart Scale is a statewide prioritization process that's used to fund 2 construction programs in the Commonwealth, the High Priority Projects Program, or HPP, where all eligible eligible bodies can apply, including regional bodies and transit agencies, and the district grant program, where only localities are eligible to apply. District grant program projects are competitive just within the individual VDOT districts, while the HPP program is competitive statewide. Virginia State Code identifies 6 individual scoring factors that are used in the evaluation of projects. These are in the table at the bottom of this slide, and they include safety, congestion mitigation, accessibility, land use, economic development, and environmental quality. The weights of each of these factors when calculating the project score is determined by the area type, which is assigned at the PDC and the NPO boundary level. And of course, after calculating the raw score for projects, that is then divided by the total cost to get the final smart scale score. Currently, the PDC is classified as area type C, and we would be requesting a change from C to D. And as you see in the table, category D has the highest weight given to the safety factor. Next slide. Oh, I see it, sorry. TJPDC and the Northern Virginia Regional Commission are the only 2 PDCs not currently categorized as area type D. For the Northern Virginia Regional Commission, this makes sense that they're categorized as area type A, considering the more urban nature of their geography and their density. But for the PDC, this map really illustrates that we're somewhat of an anomaly with our categorization as area type C right now. And so the question was, would projects have scored better? Would they have had better scoring outcomes if they were scored under area type D instead of C? So to help answer that question, VDOT conducted an analysis where they ran scenarios of how projects would have scored if they were in D instead of C for the past 3 rounds of Smart Scale. So in this slide, we have projects that were submitted in round 4. Because there were changes in methodology for each round, this table does have both round 4 criteria and round 6 criteria all the way on the right. These 2 columns represent impacts to the Smart Scale score. And so as you can see, projects almost uniformly would have had a better scoring outcome under area type D. On this slide, we have projects that were submitted in round 5. Similar to the previous slide, it has both round 5 and round 6 criteria that was run separately for this analysis. The 2 columns on the right still represent impacts to the overall Smart Scale score. And while there were a few instances here of lower Smart Scale score, staff did do some digging to understand, where the funding line would have been and if this would have impacted the actual outcomes. And the response was it would not have, because of how many points those projects still would have been away from the lowest scoring project that was still included in the funding scenario. And then finally for round 6, there's only 1 column on the right in this one, since this was the most recent round of Smart Scale with the most recent methodology. If round 6 projects have been submitted under this round and scored using area type D instead of C, all of the projects would have seen a positive impact on their score. Overall, our takeaways are that changing the area type from C to D would improve project scores overall in our planning district. There is no indication in this analysis that an area type change would have impacted the actual selection outcomes, but they almost uniformly would have led to higher project scores, which means more competitive projects and a better chance at getting funded in future rounds. I do want to note that, of course, every round of Smart Scale, it always depends on what other projects are submitted for funding, since Smart Scale is a relative calculation based on the highest scoring project, and they're not absolute. And one other note is that the NPO's area type would remain the same, which is category B right now. We're not seeking to change the NPO's area type, just the PDC. And as far as next steps, TJPDC staff, we do recommend that the commission request a change to the Smart Scale area type from C to D. Today's meeting is only informational for you all, but it will be on your agenda for the next meeting as a voting item. If approved, we would then forward that request to VDOT, who would notify the Office of Intermodal Planning and Investment, who they're the state agency responsible for administering Smart Scale. OIP would then bring this to the Commonwealth Transportation Board, who would make the ultimate decision and consider this at their December meeting, where they would adopt any policy changes to the Smart Scale Technical Guide methodology that would take effect for Smart Scale Round 7, tentatively starting in March or April of next year. All right, and that's it. Happy to answer any questions. Sandy Shackelford from the VDOT Culpeper District, she's also dialed in and can help answer any questions that you guys have as well.
Any questions, anybody?
Taylor, a minor question. Could you just elaborate again on what that acronym OIPI refers to?
The Office of Intermodal Planning and Investment.
Intermodal.
Planning and investment.
All right, I had to write that down.
Yeah, totally
So
understand.
that will be the decision-making agency.
So they are the staff, the state agency that administers the Smart Scale program. And so the decision-making body is the Commonwealth Transportation Board, the CTB.
All right. So the role of OIPI would be to advocate for or against particular projects?
No, it would be to take this request for a change in our area type to put it on the Commonwealth's agenda for consideration. So they would prepare their, packets like we as staff do for the commission and for our committees for them to consider.
Administrative actions.
Mhm. Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying.
Of course, yeah.
Anybody else?
I'll just add that the memo within your packets and the VDOT analysis is included, so you can see more than just the positive or the negative. You can see what the actual projected score changes would have been if you want further detail.
As one of the rural jurisdictions, thank you. That this is some good stuff. And just as a reminder to the rest of us on here on this call, if you do not know who your CTB representative is for your jurisdiction, be a really good idea to get to know that person. They're the ones that ultimately make the decision on where this money goes, and kind of getting to know them is always a good thing. So I'd encourage you to go ahead and do that. All righty. Taylor, anything else you wanted to add?
No, I appreciate being able to be here.
Cool. All righty. So Logan, it looks like you are up next, sir.
Yes.
While Logan is preparing that, can I insert another comment on this, the last item? We
Sure.
did email this memo out to all of the county administrators, deputies, where there were ones, and also all of the rural transportation staff and all of the VDOT, Culpeper, and local representatives, just to make sure we're broadly communicating. But I would really encourage you all in the next month before this comes up for vote to make sure that broadly there's consensus within your jurisdiction. Any opposition, we would love to hear in advance, because we really only want to bring this forward if all of our rural jurisdictions have consensus that this is a benefit to your locality. So just please share it, whether it's, informally or formally. And if any of your colleagues have any questions about this, any specific details they'd like, please reach out to our staff and we can help answer any questions that they might have between now and your September meeting.
Thanks, Christine. All right, Logan.
All right. Good afternoon, Chair Smith and the rest of the commissioners. Or I guess it's evening now. I'm going to do a little presentation today about our USDA Housing Preservation Grant Program. Yeah, you can go to the next slide, Ruth. We fortunately received word this week that they are indeed, USDA are indeed running another round of their housing preservation grant, which we have been working with for, I believe, the past 9 years. So that is good news. It is a little bit later than in previous iterations, but better late than never. To give a little program overview, this is from the rural development portion of USDA, specifically for rural communities, and it is money used for home rehabilitation for low or very low income residents. We work with a number of subrecipients on this front. The next slide will have a list of them in each of our rural localities. And they are the ones who are actually sort of finding the projects and coordinate them with the homeowners and the contractors. We are working with on the USDA side, so we help get folks reimbursed. So as you can see, we usually limit. Oh, and I forgot to mention, this is, so, you know, we have a pot of money from USDA and folks send projects to us on the first come, first served basis. They're funded. We have traditionally limited program funds being funds for the actual building of whatever it is that's being rehabilitated. We've limited those to $5,000 per project, so we try to get around 30 to 50 projects that way every grant cycle. And we also add a little $200 subrecipient admin now for our subrecipients. Over the past 2 grant years, we have completed around 70 projects and around $270,000 in program funds have been redistributed to our subrecipients. You can go to the next slide, Ruth. This is just a percentage breakdown of where the grants, the grant money has been distributed. These are the number of projects. So you can see Fluvanna and Louisa and Albemarle together kind of take up the lion's share of that. To be clear, that's only eligible in the rural parts of Albemarle. On the left, you can see our grant subrecipients. We intend to work with the same folks. These are nonprofit housing groups that we work with on a regular basis in other contexts as well. For example, the home program. And we intend to work with them again this year. You can go to the next slide. This is a little bit about the budget. So I'll start with the left column there from the previous grant cycle, that is federal fiscal year 24. They operate on a slightly different fiscal year from us. Last year, we requested and received around $135,000. And you can see how it's broken down there between the program funds, which are required to be matched by other funding sources, and then how the subrecipient and our TJPDC admin factor in. Together, the admin costs are 18% of the total grant amount. On to this year. So the way this works is that it's a federal program. There is a nationwide pool of money. That pool internally to USDA is decided upon to have certain allocations per state. So Virginia will get a certain allocation of that money, and we apply for a portion of that money. In the past, we've only applied for half of that money. This year, because, well, last year we applied for half and received it. The other half, there was no other successful applicant for, and so it was basically reworked into a different USDA program to sort of hedge against that happening in the eventuality that, you know, other applicants are not successful, i.e. they don't complete the application correctly. We would hopefully be able to get the full amount so that the rest of the money does not go to waste. But the way it would work, if there are, you know, 1 or 2 other successful applicants, the money would get divided between the 2 or 3. The only complicating factor for this presentation is we don't actually know what the Virginia state allocation is yet. based on how much money was available nationwide last year, which was around 12.2 million. This year it's 13.3 million, so a bit more. We are estimating that there's going to be around $300,000 in the Virginia state allocation, hence the sort of proposed budget there on the right. But again, this was just released 2 days ago, so USDA folks don't seem to know exactly what the Virginia state allocation is yet. Yeah, you can go to the next slide, Ruth. Thank you. This is just a rough timeline of how this will work. So this meeting caught us right at the beginning of the process. The next TJPDC commission meeting will catch us quite literally right at the end. The pre-application is due on September 4th, and that's when our public comment period will end. It'll run from August 15th to September 4th. So we will be advertising that widely to get input on, and in the meantime, putting together our statement of activities and the rest of the application for that September 4th deadline. So I think that's all I have. If anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Logan? Logan, thanks for putting this together pretty quickly. I know this hit you literally at the last minute, so appreciate it. I do have a
No
quick
problem.
question about the 5,000, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
So tell me how that is dispersed on per project. Is a project cannot exceed 5,000, or does the subrecipients have to match it? Or if I have a $25,000 project, I can just contribute $5,000 towards it. How does that disbursement of funds actually work?
Yeah, good question. So that 5,000 refers, so that's just the limit on how much USDA HPG funding a project gets. So the project could be much more than that. And in the case of some things like, I don't know, like a septic tank or something, you know, it often is, or roof repair, it often is. That our subrecipients are really excellent at finding matching funding, and this is often sort of the last little bit they need to complete a project. And so, you know, I think the 5,000 is there just to make sure we are able to distribute that across as many projects as we can. But yeah, that doesn't limit the amount of match funding even to being 5,000, and often it is more. But I would say our average request is less than 5,000 as well. The average request is around $3,500. So some are less than 5,000.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Anybody else? All right. We're going to move along to the consent agenda. It looks like we have 4 action items there. We'll start off with the minutes from the June 5th meeting. Has everybody had an opportunity to read them? And if so, any edits or changes? And if none, I'd love to take a first and a second and vote on it.
Chair, I move we approve the minutes.
Seconded.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Phil. Do we need to do a roll call on this, or just a simple yay or nay? Okay, cool. So all in favor, say aye.
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 There you go. Thank you. Next item, May and June financial reports. Looks like we've got 4 parts to it. Sure everybody had an opportunity to read it. Any questions, comments, concerns, edits? All right, we'll do the same thing, first and second, and move on.
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All righty. FY25 Q4, April to June profit and loss year comparison, comma staff memo. Same drill. And any thoughts, comments, concerns? Looks good. Okay, first, second, and let's vote on it.
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Well done, Phil.
I got this down.
Look at you, buddy. And we're probably sitting right next to each other at the moment. Can I get a second on that, please?
I do second.
Thank you, James. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we're not going to do the executive contract. We're just going to skip that one.
All right.
Executive Director Annual Contract Resolution. Same thing. It's in the package. Any thoughts, comments, concerns?
Just for a
Phil,
change of pace, sir, I so
Yeah.
move.
Hey, didn't ask the question, but it's okay, Phil. We got it. How about somebody get a second, please, for me?
I do second.
Good. Thank you again, James. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Look at that. We might set a record here. Old business, none. New business. All righty. Christine, looks like you're up.
We do this one fairly rapidly. It's the annual review of the remote electronic meeting and all virtual policy. It serves two purposes. One is to permit members of the commission to participate remotely in an in-person meeting where there's a physical quorum and present. And the second purpose is to allow the commission to hold all virtual meetings like the one that you all are having this evening. And it sets the stipulations for those meetings about being seen and heard, how we notice the public, how frequent and often you can hold them, and how the public can access. You can have up to 5 meetings per year, since we typically hold 10, all virtually, but they cannot be held consecutively. And so this is just the annual review and adoption of that policy, which is newly required in the code.
And that's also an action item. Any thoughts, comments? If not, the first, second, and we can vote on it.
Oh, all right.
Come on, Phil. You can do it.
Mr. Chair, I so move.
How about a second? Come on, Tommy, give me a second.
Second.
There you go, Tommy. All in favor, say aye.
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 There we go. All righty. And then Christine, Executive Director's report.
I'll give a couple high-level bullets, but again, my written executive director's report is in the packet, so there's a lot more detail in there if you're looking for any individual program detail. I'll start with the MPO. They are beginning to prepare a kickoff for a transportation demand management study. That is a new study that's written within the Unified Planning and Work Program, which is just the MPO's annual work plan. I wanted to share with you all that the TJPDC was not awarded the RAISE grant. If you recall, this is the 3rd year we've applied. We've always scored very well, but due to the competitive nature, it's a national grant. We were not awarded the funds, and that's for the Fluvanna River Bike Ped Bridge preliminary engineering. It's interesting to note that there were no projects in the state of Virginia that were awarded RAISE funds in this round. And staff will certainly take advantage. FHWA offers a debrief on your application and your scoring, and so we'll take advantage of that once they offer it. Usually takes a couple months after award notices before they reach back out to those that weren't successful. We did submit a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that you all approved earlier in the year. The partnership with UVA to study vulnerable road users, but awards won't be announced for another couple of months. So stay tuned to learn if we get that one or not. In June, the Commonwealth Transportation Board approved their 6-year program, which is the DRPT and VDOT budgets. The PDC was actually awarded all of the funds that we applied for. So our rideshare program, our path mobility management program, the regional transit authorities prioritization study, and both our rural and MPO funding were all awarded at the amounts that we requested. So we were very pleased with this round. Staff also completed a triennial DRPT financial compliance review, just a comprehensive review of all of our practices and making sure we're following all the rules. It's an extensive review. There were no substantive defaults noted. There was one minor finding, and that is an instance of submitting multiple invoices within the same month. So they don't like you to do that. A lot of our program managers say, go ahead and do it. But if you don't get that written documentation that they said, go ahead and do it, it's a finding. Basically, this stems from having gaps in staff that earlier in the year when we did not have transportation planners. And so the invoicing got behind. And as soon as we had staff, we got caught back up and submitted them all at once. That was a minor finding. We submitted a corrective action plan. It was approved. We're not terribly concerned, but we do take that compliance very seriously. And that will be overseen by the transportation director to make sure that staff are submitting invoices as we're allowed, one per month, and not stacking them. Happy to take questions on any of these. For environmental, some quick updates. We have kicked off the water supply planning. That kickoff happened at the end of June. We did receive the just over $8,000 planning funds from DEQ to support that. Once available, we'll apply for the second round of just over $8,500 to help support that. The watershed improvement program, there are 4 rain barrel workshops planned for fall across the PDC, and the pilot septic program officially kicks off in August. So we'll be excited to start moving that money. And then finally, our 2 more environmental, the hazard mitigation program, the full application was submitted in order to get funding to complete the required 5-year update to the plan. That'll be a several-year process. And then the Rivanna River Basin Commission is holding their September meeting, September 24th, and that's going to focus on water supply planning. So that's going to have speakers from Virginia Association of Counties, Rivanna Water Sewer Authority, Piedmont Environmental Council, DEQ, and RCA, Rivanna Conservation Alliance. And then a new standing item that I'm going to put in my ED report every month. There'll be a link within my report. An executive order, it's actually a very old executive order, 12372. It tasks federal agencies with notifying and seeking comments from both states and local or regional officials when they're applying for federal financial assistance with a project that affects your region or your locality. But the state of Virginia never formalized a statewide process or a point of contact for who they're supposed to reach out to when they have an application that affects a jurisdiction or a region. And so a lot of federal agencies have then developed their own steps. Okay, well, if Virginia doesn't have a process, we'll just send it to all the localities, or we'll send it to all the planning district commissions, or we'll send it to all of the reps. So everybody has a different process. We at the PDC receive a significant amount of these reviews to do. They're called intergovernmental reviews. Some of them are just notices. We've always, as staff, reviewed them, made sure local either staff or electeds are copied. If they are not, we forward them on when it has to do with your locality. All this is a new process for us to officially log every review that we receive, every intergovernmental request that we receive. We're logging it into a spreadsheet and we're saving it so that anybody can access those on the website. So within my monthly ED report, there'll be a live link that you can always go to if you want to see all of the different reviews that we have completed within the last month since the last time we met with you. Happy to take any questions on that. This is really more about information sharing and transparency, but also just formalizing what our process is when we receive them, since we do receive so many of them. And that is all I have. Happy to take questions about anything else that is in the report.
Any questions for Christine? So moving on to 8, which is other business. If everybody takes a look at B, we've got kind of a busy September. And I'm going to take lead from my dear friend Ernie, who chaired a meeting earlier today for the corporation. That we won't do a formal roundtable. Maybe we can all get on with our evening. But if anybody would like to share anything, this is a great opportunity. They want to chime in and talk a little bit about what may be going on in their world. So if anybody would like to share, this is an opportunity. Okay, guys, I tell you, I would like to do one thing though. Kaiten, would you mind turning your camera on, please? If you're able to.
Ooh.
There you are. So I personally wanted to say thank you. Your last day's on the 11th.
Yes, sir.
We could not have done what we did at the Regional Housing Partnership without your awesome work and support and always being there. And thank you for putting up with yours truly being somewhat of a PIA from time to time. So, okay, maybe regularly, but I personally wanted to say thank you and wish you the best of luck. And if there's anything you want to share with the rest of us about your next big move, we'd love to hear it.
I guess I'm still going to be in the area, everybody. So, and you might see me in a couple of meetings, just a little fly on the wall. If you have any questions or you want to hear my input about things, I'm always available to chime in on that. But yeah, so my contract does end on the 11th, and I am going to graduate school with EVA, Frank Baden School of Leadership and Public Policy. I'm excited for this next chapter, and I'm excited to where it may lead me. But I'm always going to be in the area, so get used to seeing me, I guess.
Well, it'll be an absolute pleasure, and I just want to thank you so much for everything you did for us, and wish you only the best of the very best moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else want to chime in? If not, look at this. We might be able to adjourn and get on with the rest of our evening. Phil, you want to adjourn us?
Sure, I'll run the table. Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Everybody have a great evening, and we'll see you guys in September. And
Thank
Katie,
you.
thanks again, my friend.
Good night,
Be well.
all.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Good night.